Many of our blades, the long ones, the pieces that you find in old burial sites and archaeological sites, those were offerings, usually to the dead or to the spirits. Something so beautifully worked and long was not used for mundane tasks because it could break very easily. So these two implements that are before you are our knives. I know what you're thinking. They're about as small as arrowheads. You don't need anything bigger than that for butchering or for utility work. Any flint knapper in the camp could make a blade so easily with a small point like that. It was a lot more useful than using a large point because you do not wish to damage a bigger blade that was a long time to make. It's better to have a small blade that can be easily replaced than a larger blade. So these blades are made out of red porcelainite. That's a type of stone here in the plains area. When we could not get flint, this stone was very abundant out in the mountains and hills. It knaps very beautifully and has a good sheen to it. It is almost comparable to shale, but more oily in color and more durable. The edge has been knapped, pressure flaked with an antler. And you generally try and press the antler down on the blade to give it the serrated look. Once it has these teeth on the blade, that is your cutting power. That's what gives this implement durability, because if it chips, you can simply resharpen it. If it is just a straight edge, it is very brittle, very fragile. You have to be careful with it if it is just a straight edge. But if it has the saw teeth like these two, it is very durable in cutting, can be easily resharpened. The handles are made out of different types of wood. These two, the smaller one is made of ash, very good hardwood. The larger one is made from willow, very soft, easy wood to mold, to shape, to carve. They have been hafted on with the pine resins of our traditional methods of hafting. Some people would use the glues from sinews and rawhide, but these are made from pine resin. You mix pine resin and charcoal and typically some kind of grass material, and it creates a type of prehistoric fiberglass epoxy-like resin. The grasses allow it to be more durable and shock resistant. It's not just going to crack because it has vegetable material inside of it. It holds the glue together. So you mix this all by a fire, heat it up. Once it is hot, you put it onto the handle and you put your blade into it and push the blade down. Press it with your thumb or your hand and be careful not to burn yourself. It gets very hot. It's just like a hot glue gun today. This is ancient hot melt glue. It has the sinews of a buffalo twisted and wrapped onto the handles to give more durability so the glue doesn't flake when using. This type of blade can last for about a year or 2 years before it needs to be rehafted, meaning needs to be put in another handle or the glue needs to be reheated, because we were very rough with our blades. We were cutting many things, whether it was meat, hides, or plant material. This is a tool of a survivor, just something small and simple.
Well, with any kind of knives, you had to be real careful with them. You could never point at another person with them. They were very they had to be treated, with great respect with their knives. They, when they butchered or anything like that, they could never really. The soldiers could never really catch up with the Cheyennes even though they had the grain-fed horses, the soldier horses. The Indians had their little Mustangs. They could never catch up with them because they could eat on the move. They could the warrior societies would lead to the side one of the old horses and butcher it, and they would give parts to to the people as they came by. And everybody there was, they cut their own meat with these knives. They all prized their knives, and they cut it real thin. And some of them would use their rifles. And when they had this bunch grass growing, they would fire their rifles, the flints, and catch that fire, the grass on fire. Once it started to burn, they would throw their meat over the grass and let it cook. And when it was almost out, they would transfer that fire to another weed and flip the meat over so that it cooked on both sides. Then they jumped back on their horses, and that was their lunch. They didn't have to wait around like the cavalry does to go through the rituals of camping and slaughtering animals, and taking a great deal of time. So the Indian people no one could catch up with them. All the little kids had their own. The mother would hand them one, and they all knew how to cut their own meat. This was a survival skill of the Indian people. But you just never point it at anybody. You're very careful with it, because everybody is watching you. So it's when they see a child cutting meat with one of these that maybe his father made, they're going to praise him. And praise was one of the greatest gifts of the Indian children.